A Unix operating system is composed of three different layers that are the kernel, the shell, and another layer for tools and applications. The kernel is the core of the operating system. Actually, it acts as a hub. It's the core that does provide different kind of services to all the other parts of the operating system. It does talk with the different devices, and it does also handle all the requests, including the inputs and outputs. It also handles space and memory in the operating system, and all the file storage, and also communications in response to different system calls. The shell is the layer that acts as an interface between the user and the kernel, the core of the operating system. So the shell is basically the command line interpreters, and it does interpret all the commands that a given user type, and all the programs that a user can launch in an operating system. So again, it acts as an interface between the user and the kernel, and it's basically the accessible via the terminal, which is, we will see in a few minutes, the user interface that is able to run the different kind of applications and manage the system. So the applications and tools layer is the layer that does contain all the applications that the user may install. It can be any type of software. It can be a genome viewer, for example. It can be a software to handle sound, images, and videos, or wherever. So as mentioned previously, the shell is accessible via the terminal, and the terminal is like a program that is able to run a shell. There are different types of Unix shells, and the most popular one for interactive use is the Bash. It's basically the default in the most popular Linux installations. So a terminal looks pretty much like this. It's the black window that you can use to run the different commands. The good news is that you can change the color of the black window. It can be any color you pick. In the majority of the system, you can change the different parameters that will allow you to do that. So when you open a terminal, you first have what we call a shell prompt that is composed of the username and the machine name. Here, for example, is the machine name, and this is the username in that machine. Even though it's a command line interface, the mouse is still very handy. You can scroll to go up and down in your screen. You can copy, you can paste, etc. So the terminal is accessible in your Linux machine. If you have a Linux machine, you can just go to the applications and open a terminal. It's the same in a Mac operating system. You can go to the list of applications and open a terminal. If you are running Windows, in the majority of the classroom, you already have the tool called Cygwin already installed in your machine, and you can have a shortcut to open that terminal either from your desktop or from the list of applications. I'm going to do a small short demo from my computer. I'm running it from I'll be running a terminal from a Mac operating system, and I'm going to open that from my applications. So I just need to type terminal, and I will have my terminal open. So when you open a terminal, you will see a shell prompt that is again composed of the name of the machine followed by the username. So here is the name of the machine I'm using right now, and here is the user name. So before we get started and play with the terminal and try the different commands that you can use, I'm going to take a few minutes to explain how files are organized under the Linux operating system. So basically everything in Linux is either a process or a file, and a process is in general any kind of program under execution, any type of system command as well. And in general, a process is referred by a unique identifier at a given moment. And the files are in general a collection of data that can be created by different users using different programs. It can be, for example, a text file containing a report. It can be an image file, any kind of data. We're gonna see later that files under Linux can also be directories that do gather different files. As in Windows operating system, files are organized in an hierarchical structure, and it's basically like an inverted tree, and the top of the hierarchy is what we call the root, and it's written with the slash sign, and all the other directories are located under this root directory. So there are a lot of default directories that are installed with the operating system, like the home directory that does contain all the users' home directories, the dev directory that gathers all the files related to the different devices installed in the machine, the bin directory that is the folder that does contain all the commands binaries, and the etc folder that does contain all the configuration files. So under the home directories, we will find the different home directories relative to different users. Remember that we said that Linux is a multi-user operating system, so we can have different users using the same machine. So each one of the different users will have a home directory under the home folder. Be careful here because it really depends on the distribution you have in your system. So like if you are using a Mac operating system, you won't find in general a home folder that does contain all the users folder. You will find a users folder that does contain all the home directories. So instead of calling it home, it's called users, but it's basically the same. It does contain all the home directories of the different users. So here, for instance, we have 3 different users who are Crick, Watson, and Sanger, and each one of them can own different kind of folders and files. So at any given moment, you are located in a single directory in the file hierarchy. You cannot be located in bin and documents on the same time. So at a given moment, you should be located in a given directory. And inside that directory, you can see all the directories that are immediately located under that one. And you can also access all the parents directory and also all the subdirectories of that given directory where you are standing. So basically, you own your home directory and all the subdirectories that are created within or below that one. So here, for example, I'm highlighting all the files that do belong to the user Watson. So Watson does have a directory called desktop, one called documents, and one called IBT 2017. And under IBT 2017, there are two subdirectories, Genomics and Linux, and then under Linux there are two other subdirectories. As we said, in Linux, the word file refers to both directories and files, ordinary files. So here, for example, I'm highlighting the directory files of the user Watson, and Watson also can also have ordinary files, like for example file 1 and file 2 that are located under session 1, for example. So basically the difference between a directory file and an ordinary file is the fact that a directory file is a directory that can contain subdirectories and ordinary file. But an ordinary file, like a file text, an image file, a sound file, or wherever, cannot contain subdirectories or other files. Here, for example, the folder, the directory IBT 2017 does contain two subdirectories, which are Genomics and Linux, and it does also contain a file called file X that can be any type of file once again. So as mentioned previously, a user owns his home directory that can contain all the files and directories that a user creates. And in any given moment, you are located in a given directory in the file structure. This is what we call the working directory or the current directory. When you first log in your system, you are by default located in your home directory. And then, of course, you can move from one directory to another. An abbreviation of the working directory is in general displayed as a part of the prompt in your terminal. We will have the chance to see this later on when we will start using the terminal and writing some commands. So there is a command that allows you to know where you are located in a given moment, which is the pwd command that prints your the path of your current working directory, and it tells you where you are located at that given moment.